What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn 5 fundamental principles of brand strategy so you can move away from logo-based brands, separate from marketing, and start developing processes to build successful brands. Now, if you're new to the channel and you're interested in building brands that go beyond visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll be well on your way. Now, we all know that we need to build a brand. We all know that a brand is not a logo, and we all know that your brand is not what you say it is, it's what they say it is. A brand is your reputation and a brand is a perception. There's a lot said about brands and branding that don't necessarily give you any direction or any fundamental principles when it comes to building strategic brands. So in this video, I want to go through 5 fundamental principles that you can take into your processes to develop strategic brands. And if you take these processes and use them as guiding fundamental principles and use them in the development of your brand strategies, then you'll be able to build strategies with a structure to succeed. Principle number 1, define who you are. Now, before you go out into the market and tell anybody who your brand is, you need to know who it is. Your brand needs a sense of self. So it needs to have these internal belief systems. It needs to know what its commitments are, what its ambitions are, where it's going, and what its values are. These internal beliefs act as a sense of self, and it gives a solid foundation to your brand that can lead into that decision making within the leadership team. So it's really important to have this solid foundation for your brand and to know who your brand is. Principle number 2, define who you are for. So now you know who your brand is, you know who it is internally, and it has a sense of self, but now you need to define who it is your brand is for. So why your brand exists in the first place. So this person exists out there in the marketplace, and you need to define who that is and exactly what you're trying to help them with. Now, this isn't Sally, aged between 35 and 45, who's a marketing manager. These are demographics. You really need to get down into exactly who this person is, what journey they're going through, what goals they have, what challenges they're going through, and the emotions that they have connected to those challenges. The more you know about who your brand exists for, the better you can define the rest of your brand and your brand communication. And that will give you a solid compass as to where you're going for those decisions that you need to make. So you really need to understand who your brand is for, why it exists, and how it's going to help them. Principle number 3, define why you are different. So you know exactly who your audience is, you know why your brand exists and who it exists for, but now you need to give that who a solid reason as to why they should look at your brand. And this difference is the cornerstone to your strategy for success. You need to give them that solid reason as to why they should look at your brand, because without that difference, then you're just going to blend in. If you turn up into the marketplace and you just offer the same as all of your competitors, you're not giving your who a reason to turn around and look at your brand. So that difference is key. You need to know why you're different, and you need to give that as a reason for your audience to look at your brand. Principle number 4, define how you will communicate your difference. So it's great that you've got this internal belief system and you know who your brand exists for, and you also know why your brand is different. But now you need to define exactly how you're going to communicate that difference. And how you communicate your brand and your difference can take on many forms. You need to understand the personality that you want your brand to portray, the key messages that you want your audience to understand about your brand and why you're different and what you should mean to them, and also how you are going to tell stories. What is it that you're going to say to your audience that's going to resonate with them about the journey that they're on and where they're going? So it's really important here that you define how you're going to communicate your difference to your audience. And principle number 5, communicate your difference. So the first 4 principles were all about defining your brand, knowing who your brand is, who it's for, the difference it's going to make in the market, and how you're going to communicate that difference. It's all about planning that brand expression, whereas principle number 5 is all about the action. It's all about the expression itself, going out into the market and expressing the brand on the digital front lines. So this is essentially your marketing strategy, knowing your audience, knowing who they are and knowing where they congregate and where they're going to be open to your messages and then delivering those messages. So these are the various touch points of your brand, and this is where your audience is going to meet your brand. Now, branding in its purest form is a game of creativity. Now, I'm not just talking here about the design side of things. Yes, there's creative design in the logos and the fonts and the brochures and the visuals, etc. But strategy in and of itself is a game of creativity. And if you understand these guiding principles, then you have a structure in place that allows you to go out and be as creative as you want. Be creative in your personality, be creative in your key messages and your storytelling and your overall brand expression. So really understand these 5 key principles when it comes to developing your brands, and you will build brands that have a structure that is designed for success. But I'd love to hand it back over to you. I'd love to hear your experiences and your challenges when it comes to developing brand strategies. Do you have principles in place that you use as a guide when developing your brands? Or can you take any of these 5 principles or all of these 5 principles into your own processes? I'd love to hear from you in terms of your experiences and your challenges. I'll do my best to answer all of those. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. It'll let you know when I've got new videos coming out. If you want more actionable brand strategy tips and techniques just like this one, head on over to BrandMasterAcademy.com and get yourself signed up for the list. It's free and I keep some exclusive content for that list as well. So get yourself involved. And if you want to develop brand strategies from scratch, there's plenty of resources on there for you to download. So as I said, get yourself involved. But as I said, I'd love to hear from you about your challenges, about your experiences. I'll do my best to answer all of those. Until next time, brand like a master, and I will see you in the next video.